Okay, it is time now for our first In the Arena segment on the special hour-long edition of Total Maine. We'll check in with our experts here at different points throughout the program today, but we're going to start here. Just over a week out now from primary day, and Mainers, of course, have big decisions to make. We've been poring over polling data to get a sense of how Mainers are feeling at a variety of races that we're closely following and some of the key issues. On your podcast this week, we're taking a deep dive on the most recent Pan-Atlantic Omnibus poll. I want to give our viewers just a quick snapshot of some of the insight that you're going to be sharing on the podcast. In the governor's race on the Democratic side, Nirav Shah is maintaining his lead around 29% of support. Angus King III second at 24%, followed by Troy Jackson at 12%, Shetta Bellows at 10%, and Hannah Pingree at 9%. Interestingly, when voters were asked for their second choice, Angus King, Hannah Pingree, Shetta Bellows, they're basically in a tie, with Shah holding on to a lead and then Troy Jackson falling off. Ethan, I want to start with you here. What do you see from the results? What can you glean from this information?
I think what we know most clearly from this is that Nirav Shah is the front runner. I think every poll we're seeing, internal, external, shows that he's in the lead, and we're seeing that really Hannah, Shenna, and Troy are kind of splitting the progressive vote. And I think that's why they're spending some time sort of saying we need to vote for each other. But they need to consolidate in order to find a way to get those votes to overcome Nirav Shah. Now, there are some questions in this poll about, Angus is kind of strong, and some people are saying, hey, wait a minute, the poll seems to have a lot of unenrolled voters voting in this Democratic primary. That's probably not going to happen. It's not going to be that strong. I think there will be some unenrolled voters in it, but it's not going to be to the extent that this poll says. So we'll see how that plays out ultimately.
And you have said that ranked choice is likely going to be a big factor here. You seemed it as almost a guarantee that we're headed to ranked choice, with Nirav Shah unlikely to reach that 50% threshold in the first round.
Unlikely to reach that 50% mark in the first round, in the second round, in the third round. Look, I think this is going to go all rounds. If you look at Shenna, Hannah, and Troy, they basically have the same number of votes as Nirav Shah does as a percentage. So they're consolidating. They're going to try to find a way to leapfrog over him, but there's no doubt this is going all the way. He's not going to get to 50% before all 5 rounds.
What do you think he thinks of the alliance between those candidates and them cross-endorsing each other for ranked?
He's probably a little frustrated by it. Look, he's the only one who came out and said, I'll vote for Hannah, and Hannah did not return the favor. So he's probably not very pleased about that. But look, he's really separated himself. He's a much more conservative candidate than the others in this race. And I think that's why they're saying, hey, wait a minute, we're actually the progressive Democrats here. Let's bring it home.
All right, let's bring Phil in here. Over on the Republican side, Bobby Charles is holding on to a significant lead at 36% support among those surveyed. Jonathan Bush second at 20%, Garrett Mason in third at 13%. The rest of the field is in the low single digits. And then when you add in the second choice votes, it does get a little bit tighter, with Bush cutting Charles' lead in half and Mason getting within striking distance of Bush. Phil, what do you see over on the GOP side, according to the survey?
I think the analysis of the dynamics that we're seeing, at least from the polls, are playing out in the campaign activities. You're seeing more and more campaign rhetoric from Bobby Charles going after Jonathan Bush. I'm surprised, and the poll will be very telling compared to the actual election results, that Ben Midgley is not polling as high as I think, at least on the street, people are looking at Ben Midgley much stronger than this poll indicates. When it's all said and done, Republicans, whoever is the nominee, are going to have to join in a team effort to win in November, because the stakes are just so high that if the progressive wing of the Democratic Party wins, they've already made it clear that government's just needs more money out of the private sector, and they'll fix a lot more problems.
Some political observers may question some of the decisions that Bobby Charles has made in this race. He didn't participate in the first 2 televised debates.
Especially the one here.
Of course. On a social media platform, he's used a lot of artificial intelligence-generated imagery. Not everyone has liked that. But when you see poll numbers like this, does it reinforce, or is it reinforcement for his own campaign that maybe they think they're doing something right here?
Well, if the 39% polling is even close to accurate, he's got a much broader support than I recognize. Maybe it's because I live in the coastal area of the 1st District, and he's in the sort of the middle part of the 1st District. It'll be interesting to see, does he really have that strong of support to begin with? And if he does, I think he will get the nomination within the first round or two. And that will make it very clear the personality style of the Republican candidate and the Democrat candidate, I think you'll have a pretty clear choice.
If he's been successful with that style, what does another candidate like Jonathan Bush or Garrett Mason need to do to break through and close that gap?
They've got very little time left. You better have a wow factor, and I don't mean go low and go dirty, but I mean you got to have a reason and a game plan to market to the state of Maine the clear difference between what you will do if you're the nominee and what Bobby Charles has said he's going to do if he's the nominee. For example, how do you cut $4 billion out of the state budget that's already been baked in for the last 24 months?
Just real quick, I think if Bobby Charles wins this race, to your question, I think he's going to change the dynamic of how Republican races are run in the future because he's doing it so differently than any Republican's ever done it.
And do you think Rick Bennett, running as an independent but longtime Republican, is he looking at Bobby Charles and hoping that that's a contrast in style that favors him?
Yeah, I think Bobby Charles is the most conservative candidate there, and he's sort of the most antagonistic. I think Rick Bennett would love to have him on the ballot.